In this video, you'll learn the techniques in order to sketch a graph of the sine function. First, let's get to know all the parts of the function. A is the amplitude, which can stretch the range. P is the period, which can stretch or compress the domain horizontally. And B moves the origin of where the first cycle begins, up or down the vertical line. To sketch the basic graph of a sine by hand, it is suggested to memorize 5 points of a single period, which include the intercept, the maximum point, the minimum point, and where the full period ends. However, instead of doing that, you can easily find those points by first finding the period by 2 pi divided by pi. And you can find the other points easily by finding the interval, which is found by the period divided by 4. You should also memorize the unit circle in order to graph by hand. So let's learn how to graph y equals sine x. The thing we have to do is learn how to graph the parent function y equals sine x. In order to graph the parent function, we have to find first the period. The period is found by dividing 2 pi by whatever comes before x, which in this case is 1. So 2 pi divided by 1 equals 2 pi. Then we had to find the interval so that we could figure out these 3 points. This is found by dividing the period by 4. So 2 pi divided by 4 is pi over 2. The next thing we have to do is find the amplitude. The amplitude is found by whatever is right here. In this case, it's 1. So 1 and negative 1. After doing this, we can finally graph the function y equals sine x. So we have to find 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. The sine of 0 is 0, and the sine of pi 2 is 1. Then the sine of pi is back to 0, and the sine of 3 pi over 2 equals negative 1. And we're back to 2 pi, which is also the same as 0. So it equals 0. So this makes one cycle of y equals sine x. Let's graph y equals half sine 2x plus 1. So because it has plus 1, we have to shift it up 1. So the new graph has to start, the new cycle starts at plus 1. After this, we can start finding the period, which is 2 pi divided by 2 equals pi. So we know it ends here. Next, we can find the amp, which is half. So that means it can only go up half and down half from 1. And I forgot to find the interval, which is the period divided by 4. So instead of using a table like this to find the coordinates of y, we can use the shortcut because we know that a sine has the same motion. So we know that it goes up to the top of the amplitude, then back down to the origin, to the center, then down to the bottom half of the amplitude, back up. And this makes y equals half sine 2x plus 1.